Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Marilyn's Cafe Society on YouTube. Today is Saturday, the 19th day of 2019, and I am on the move. Listen, we're in the middle of a snowstorm. I know you've been hearing about it, one of the biggest storms hitting the nation. And of course, traveling east, we're in the Chicagoland area, are experiencing the snow right now as I speak. So I'm bringing the show to you live from my car because I'm en route and time is running short. I know later in the day I won't be able to come to you live, so we're going to do it now. Um, Again, I hope things are going well with you so far this year. In 2019, of course, we are. Again, talking about the snow, and here in this area, they're predicting that we could experience anywhere from 6 to 10 inches of snow in the Chicagoland area. Those who are a bit more north will see the bulk of the snow. So far, I believe here in the immediate suburbs, the south suburbs, southwest suburbs, we maybe have anywhere from 2 to 4 inches. It's not that bad right now, but the other bad part about the storm is that it's going to bring some freezing temps. So the temperatures will be dropping throughout the day, and then we're going to get whacked again with another round of snow tonight into Sunday. And they're saying by midweek of next week, we will again be hit with what we call winter. So it's arrived, and potentially more snow, but definitely our temperatures. We've been lucky in the last few weeks or so with some fairly mild winter temperatures, but starting next week, we're going to be below freezing for an extended period of time. So again, it's winter in Chicago, and we deal with it. All right, so let's real quickly get into some on this day in history. In 1949, listen to this, the salary of the President of the United States was increased from $75,000 a year to $100,000 a year, with an additional $50,000 expense allowance for each year in the office. Now, currently, the United States President earns $400,000 a year plus an extra expense allowance, still at $50,000 a year for each year that he's in office, and a $100,000 non-taxable travel account, and $19,000 budget for entertainment. Sounds like a good deal to me, but I don't know if there's ever enough money to compensate for the pressure and the stress of being the president of the United States, but not bad, right? Okay, so jumping into some cafe news. Well, it looks like we are, I believe this would be day number 27 of the government shutdown. And I did a little research and kind of picked up some information on how the trickle down will affect you and me and anyone else living here in the United States. We're in the third week of this federal partial shutdown. It's not completely shut down. It's estimated that some 380,000 federal government employees are temporarily out of work and or are working without pay. And so, certainly they are feeling the brunt of all of this, but we Americans will be feeling it if we are already not. Well, for example, in tourism, they're saying that the national parks are not being kept up because those federal workers who maintain the parks have not been working, or just refuse to work. And so there's no maintenance crews on the grounds to clear up the garbage and keep the public restrooms clean and so forth. And so if you have been traveling or plan to travel to some of the national parks, expect to see or experience that kind of environment, unkept environment, because they just have not been able to do that. They're also saying that the Smithsonian institutions in Washington, D.C., which offer free entertainment for visitors, has been closed since this past Wednesday, and that includes the National Zoo. So, in terms of tourism and travel, those are some of the effects that we Americans will experience, and I guess others who are visiting the country. Now, when it comes to tax returns, boy, now, in the next week or so, if the full government gets back up and operating, I guess we'll be okay. However, if not, the IRS will, you know, have employees, minimum staff, or no one working at all to process tax returns. And so, guess what? We could experience some delays in our tax returns. Now, granted, you'll still be able to file, especially electronically, but there may be some delay in getting those tax returns processed. Boy, we hope not, right? Okay, access to loans. Well, businesses and entrepreneurs who are looking to start companies or supplement their companies will not be able to move forward on their loans through the Small Business Administration, because guess what? There are no employees to process their applications either. And so that's an impact that some will be feeling, as well as new home buyers. That's right, especially those who are trying to get those loans through FHA and so forth. You will not be able to get your applications processed as well. On the agricultural end, well, state, that's right, I said state and local offices run by the United States Department of Agriculture aren't able to get farmers signed up for programs. And also the Farm Service Agency offices are closed, which means no one will be evaluating rural development loans and grants. And I heard that individuals who benefit from the link card or the food supplemental program may experience eventually some effects of this partial government shutdown. So just another way that Americans are being affected here. And then businesses in areas with large percentages of government employees might see a temporary drop in revenue, because, those folks are not able to go out to eat as usual, enjoy entertainment as usual, shop as usual. And so that trickle down effect is going to be affecting many more than just individuals involved. Other businesses will also feel the pain. All right, so we're going to stay tuned and hope that we come out of this partial government shutdown very, very soon, everybody. All right. And speaking of that and related stories, some furloughed federal staffers are turning to side work in an effort to kind of stay afloat, eat, feed the family, and so forth. They're becoming Uber and Lyft drivers. I read that some are getting into handiwork on a regular basis, those, who have those skills as painters and carpenters and things of that nature, movers. Some are going, who may have been doing some part-time bartending or learned some skills along the way over the years, are going to that on a more full-time basis. A lot of them are signing up with temp agencies for temp work. Some are getting into the retail game as associates and doing other things that never really crossed their minds before as a means of survival. So again, keep them lifted in prayer, and hope this thing turns around soon. Now, some are saying that, a lot of these federal workers are feeling demoralized and helpless because they've never been in a situation before for this long period of time. There are some reports, however, some good news, that a lot of federal employees are receiving donations in food, toiletries, and other goods and services, even financial assistance. So that's a good thing, right? As always here in this country, Americans step up and do the right thing, help others in need when the call is out there. So again, let's pray that this partial government shutdown ends soon so that folks can get back to living the life that they are used to. All right, so are you tired of receiving robocalls? Well, listen, here's some good news. The FCC has challenged top telecommunication companies to find ways to eliminate them. That's right. You won't have to be bothered. Um, well, maybe they can't get rid of all of it, but they're certainly trying to find ways to eliminate as many as they can, particularly this illegal practice that they call spoofing. Now, spoofing is a way the caller hides his or her number. In fact, they can make a different number appear on your caller ID, so the call will look like it's a local call from your area, when in actuality, the person is maybe in another country, on the other side of this country. Just to kind of throw the callees off. You know how it is. When we see those phone numbers and we won't answer them because we think, that they're robocalls or telemarketers. Well, if they are able to make the call look like it's a local call from your area, you're more apt to answer. So the FCC is cracking down on that and trying to work with the telecommunication companies and coming up with ways to get rid of that illegal practice of spoofing. And then, according to this caller ID company called Truecaller, they're saying that some $8.9 billion are lost to robocall scams per year, and usually they target senior citizens. So talk to your seniors in your life and tell them not to answer the phone, okay? And that's one way that we can prevent these robocallers and all of this illegal scamming activity that's going on over the phones. Okay, let's real quick look at the stock markets. The stocks, as we all know, have been in a slump, for the last couple of months. But today, the Dow is up. That's right. They're up to 24,706.35. The S&P 500 is up 2,670.71, and the Nasdaq is also up 7,157.23. Stocks on the move, those doing good. VF Corporation, they're up $9.08. They, of course, make Timberland and North Face brands. Also, JB Hunt Transportation is up $6.19. They're a trucking and logistics company. And Schlumberger NV is up $3.36. They're the world's largest oil field service company. All right. Those that are not doing so well is Tesla. They're down $45.05. Also, Netflix is down, folks, $14.09. And who else? Eli Lilly and Co. is down $2.57. Of course, they're that drug maker. So that's how things are looking in the stock market. Oh, let's see. What else did we want to talk about today on this day? Of course, we do have some entertainment news real quick. I just want to mention this. Of course, we heard that Gladys Knight is going to be singing the national anthem for the Super Bowl game, right? And also, I stumbled upon this. It looks like recently Eddie Murphy announced that the Coming to America sequel is going to be happening. Now, you remember that 1988 cult classic romantic comedy that starred Eddie Murphy. The film was based in Queens, New York. The African prince traveled to America, just randomly on a map, picked out Queens, New York because of the name. And he wanted to find love and marriage to escape the arranged marriage that his parents had planned for him. And it was just a delightful film. Well, they are doing a sequel. And let's see, who is going to be involved in this? The Blackish creator, Kenya Barris, is going to be rewriting the script. And writers Barry Blostein and David Sheffield will be helping him in that regard. And it looks like Eddie Murphy is going to be sitting in the producer's chair along with Kevin Misher and Kenya Barris, who also will be involved from that perspective. And let's see who else is involved here. Craig Brewer has assembled of his team of writers and producers and directors to make it happen. Now, they are reporting also that they're hoping to bring back Arsenio Hall, who played Eddie Murphy's characters Aide, Simi, Sherry Headley, who played his love interest, Lisa, and John Amos, who played the father of Sherry Headley's character, as well as James Earl Jones, who played Eddie Murphy's father. So we will see how that turns out. Now, there's no start date for the production, but I'm sorry, for the release of the film, but the production is to start sometime this year. So for those who love that film, Coming to America, like me, stand by because the sequel is on its way. All right, now last but not least, I did want to comment on the R. Kelly story. For those who tuned into my blog, I know that you saw earlier in the week that I did some blogging about it because I was late. Yeah, I was late. You know, I think the documentary Surviving R. Kelly was released early in the year, maybe the 3rd or 4th of January on Lifetime. And I finally caught up, had some time to view the entire docuseries. And just as I was getting my notes together last night, you know, to pick up where I left off on the blog, I received a phone call saying that NBC's Dateline last night did a report. Yeah, they did a report on R. Kelly and the docuseries, and they spoke with many of the women who were in the docuseries about, you know, just asking more questions, more in-depth questions about it. And so, you know, on the blog, I tried to give you guys, you know, I approached it totally different from how everyone else is approaching. You know, I wasn't immediately team mute R. Kelly, you know, because I know how that works. You know, when high profile people speak out on a certain issue, everybody kind of jumps on the bandwagon without really knowing for themselves, you know, because they trust the person, and I get it. But I just wanted to step back and pause for a minute, see the docuseries for myself, kind of play back in my head those early years when those rumors and allegations were circulating about R. Kelly and living in the city of Chicago and hearing all this talk on the street and so forth about it. And then, of course, seeing this NBC Dateline report from last night. I just wanted to share, you know, share from a different perspective, and of course, kind of highlight who R. Kelly is, how, you know, from his childhood, what he experienced, and we talked about it in the blog. You know, child abuse, child predator behavior, sexual abuse, and just being disrespected as a human being when it starts out so early in life. That kid has no frame of reference. They don't know how to, they don't know what's normal and what's not normal. And you know, for him, it went on for a number of years, and I'm sure at some point it became pleasurable for him. And so while the initial violations were certainly traumatic, probably at some point, particularly as he got in his teens, I'm sure it was more pleasurable. And so, as I shared in the blog, hurt people who are hurting, who haven't learned how to go to the root cause of the hurt and deal with it, and the person who caused the hurt, and forgive, um, they tend to repeat what they experienced, the hurt that they experienced by hurting other people. And so that person in themselves is a victim, right? Or at least has been victimized. I know how some folks don't want to be called victims, and you may not be, in your head, but you certainly have been victimized or manipulated, and again, just reduced to a sexual being, which we are. We are, but we are much more than that. And if you don't have those loving experiences, um, other experiences, that's pretty much how your brain will function growing up in life. And so, anyway, these women have accused R. Kelly of sexual abuse, sexual um, inappropriate behavior, domestic abuse. Some have said that he starved them, that they were hungry, that they had unmet promises when they initially met him. He promised them, to make them stars or at least help them advance in their musical careers. None of that happened. I just think that this whole situation with R. Kelly is wrong. I am an advocate for women. I support women wholeheartedly. I get how women keep their mouths closed on certain things because they're never believed. And so, hats off to the women for speaking out and sharing their story. But if you listen to the docuseries and you go back and listen to the NBC news report, you will hear that these women said that the sex was consensual, that they, in some cases, lied about their age because they wanted to be around R. Kelly, this famous superstar, music producer, person who could potentially make things happen for them. Not condoning R. Kelly's role in all of this, because certainly a grown man has no business touching young girls. None whatsoever. We know it happens. We know it happens not only with superstars like R. Kelly, but it happens in the everyday life. We know of men, we call them dirty old men, who touch young girls, who put themselves in places where young girls are. Some of the young girls who play the game call them sugar daddies. We know this happens, right? We know it happens. And then at some point when they grow up in life, when they get older and put things in perspective, they realize that they may have been manipulated, taken advantage of, so forth and so on. So yeah, it sounds like I'm riding the fence, and I am. I'm riding the fence. Where do we draw the line? From the docuseries, it sounded like he also had a 50 Shades of Grey room. You guys remember that movie, right? It sounds like he may have had one of those in one of his homes, and he would test the girls. It sounds like he was even at some point kind of playing out that movie 50 Shades of Grey with some of the women, saying they were going to sign contracts and introducing them to maybe sexual acts that they never had experienced or even thought about, I'm sure, based on some of their reactions. But I just wrap it up by saying, folks, listen, I don't know. I really don't. I do know that there have been allegations out there for years. I do know that people close to him have accused him of crossing the line with young girls and their circle, in their family, in their lives. He has 100% denied it from day one. I think it's interesting that all the women kind of share the same patterns and stories. So, when it comes to these sexual atrocities that they have experienced, and they alleged came from Robert Kelly, I have to believe them. But again, were they willing participants, in the beginning, through manipulation, through desire, through being starstruck? I don't know, and I don't want to put myself in their shoes. I'm just going to say the jury is out on this. I'm riding the fence. I honestly don't know, but what I do know is no grown man should touch, let alone have sexual relations with a young person. No grown man should touch or have sexual relations with a woman, period, through manipulation or trickery or whatever you want to call it. And certainly no man or woman or other human being should be abusing, mistreating, dehumanizing, and, you know, um, causing hurt and harm on other human beings. And so that's where I will leave it. I'll just continue to watch this as you guys continue to watch it and see where things go from there. Prayers out to the young girls, to the women, and to their families. There's allegedly still some young girls who are still with him. Um, is it because they want to be there, or is it because he's holding them there? I honestly don't know, but I pray that they are, returned to their families, or at least make contact with their families. We know how these young girls and men can get. Not all of them, but some of them, when they hit a certain age, they think they're grown. They want to live their life the way they choose to live it. And sometimes they kind of separate themselves from their families because they don't want to hear what their families are going to say to them. So, and I'm not suggesting that that's the case with some of these young girls who have yet to be reunited with their loved ones. But let's just remember how some young people can be. Um, you know, One of the parents on the docuseries referenced R. Kelly to be maybe some kind, referenced him like a drug, like he's a magnet for these young girls, and perhaps that is it. But we will continue to watch this and see how things further develop with this R. Kelly situation. But once again, heartfelt condolences to the young girls who may have been victimized, sexually assaulted, abused, misused, mistreated. Hearts and prayers and condolences to you. I commend you for speaking out, and certainly encourage everyone to call out men, especially, and women, as we've learned through R. Kelly's story growing up as a kid. Women sexually abused him as well. So men and women who sexually abuse children, call them out. Call them out. Anyone under the age of 18, according to law, is a minor. And quite frankly, as a full-grown woman now, when I think back over my years, we think we're grown when we hit 18, 18 through maybe 25 or so. We think we're grown. We think we make all the right decisions. But in retrospect, we're still children, right? We're still children. So call them out, and just keep your young people as close to you as you possibly can, so that, these kind of things can stop happening in our communities, in the world, actually. All right, so I think that's it, everybody. Just real quick, I didn't say it last week, but let's just give a moment of silence to the Chicago Bears. All right, everybody. So remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share this YouTube video, Marilyn's Cafe Society, on YouTube. Also, let's see. Check me out on Twitter, Marilyn's Cafe Soch, and Facebook, Marilyn's Cafe Society. All right. Also remember, if you, Love Is. Here we go. Love is how it all began. And remember, folks, if you don't do anything else this week, be sure that you live, you laugh, and you love. As always, it's been a pleasure and a privilege. And we'll do this again next Saturday, right here on Marilyn's Cafe Society on YouTube. Peace. Be safe if you have to get out there and drive in the snow. And of course, keep warm because the temperatures will be falling. All right, everybody. Talk to you next time.